Welcome, everyone. Great to have you guys here. We just changed the lighting. And today we have a very interesting new format for the live cast. I call it Pioneer Radio. I want to do it on a more daily basis and give you guys updates to help you navigate the age of AGI. That has to do with Tesla today, because we have a very important Tesla update coming later today by the company, the earnings call. That is also a company update for some reason that no one knows exactly why it's called a company update. But I want to introduce you to that new format. I think it's going to be amazing. And it's going to be a blend of topics from Tesla to capital and investing to geopolitics and to Pioneerlands, of course, our own little endeavor to bring people together and prepare everyone for the age of AGI. And here's my little graphic for it. Let me just get this done. And I think you guys enjoy that. Wait. Here we have it. Can you see that? That is Pioneer Radio, your daily guide in the age of AGI. And today we are going to discuss some important topics, starting with Tesla. Does everyone see this? Yes. Excellent. I ain't gonna chase tail. Very good. You should never do that. So let's go into this and see what we have here. My thesis is very simple. I want to go through some things, some earnings estimates. It's going to be a little boring, but let's go through some X posts that actually list and summarize this. Peggy did a very good post on it. But I will then go into the Robotaxi cast and tell you why this is a very important deal, what we actually saw at Giga Texas just in time for the earnings update. And then talk a little bit about the AI transformation, what actually matters for Tesla now, and why it has never before been so important to ignore the noise around this earnings call. And people are very nervous. It's very fascinating to see. So let's start here with these tweets. Peggy had a great summary here. And in this summary, he basically talks about all the different people that have posted their earnings estimates. So it goes all the way up here. Hello Joe is very bullish, and all the way down to matches a mat at 31 cents earnings per share, non-GAAP. And analyst consensus is right here in the middle. So why does this matter, or why does it not matter? It's very simple. In my opinion, whoever goes into this earnings call and says, I want to see these earnings, and if it's 37 cents, I'm going to sell, but if it's 38 cents, I'm going to buy, is dumb. And at this point, I don't think too many people are dumb anymore on Tesla. I think there are certain fundamentals that can come in to actually influence the stock, but they need to be extreme. Right? We need to see an extreme margin crash, gross margin crash beyond what anyone can believe, an extreme demand crash or something like that to actually move the stock down and reverse. I think we need to see some insanely positive numbers on the fundamental side so they drive the stock up. In other words, it's very hard for me to see how any of these things matter at this point. We know Q1 was horrible for many reasons. We had brand damage, we had the Doge blow up, we had all of Europe, getting up in arms against Elon. It seemed, at least, no one knows how much fake news that is and how much real. We also have seen the Model Y refresh, and of course, that created a lot of noise and reduction in production. So then the tariffs came on top of it. So no one can view this Q1 as any kind of representative quarter that tells us anything about the future. Most importantly, on top of it, that is very important, we all know that the elephant in the room on the macro level here is that cars, the entire automotive industry, is under heavy pressure. ICE cars, I predicted a year ago, will see their last year of survival in 2026. They are on the path to extinction. because EVs have now become so cost effective that they are on par with gas cars. Gas cars will die out very soon. Now, on the EV side, China has ramped up the competition so insanely that EVs are also on their way out, in my opinion. It is not a good market to be in. EVs suck or will suck latest in 2028. No one will survive this bloodbath that's coming out of China. Of course, we can have tariffs and all kinds of things, but long term, there is a bloodbath because manufacturing EVs is just fundamentally easier than ICE cars, which creates long term tremendous competition, and it's a bad market to be in. And I think we see an inflection point in 2028 or something where it's just no fun to be in that market. I think Elon understands all of that. I think Elon has seen it before anyone else. And Elon has decided last year, I want to get the hell out of this market. That is my prediction. Elon wants the hell out of the EV market, at least strategically. That's why he said, scrap this whole Model Q or whatever the name is, the affordable model. Let's go straight for the kill into the next giant mega TAM, where we are the only ones. And that is autonomous vehicles. And it's actually very smart, because if you have a giant company like Tesla, you don't want to become NASA and work on all kinds of little projects all over the place. You want to narrow down the focus of the company to two strategic things, Optimus and autonomy. And it's better to not focus on these affordable models, even though short-term there might be some pain. But think about it strategically. Do you really want to be in the market competing with China? No. By the way, if you're BYD, if you are Xpeng, if you are any of these companies, you also don't want to be them. They're all subsidized. They all have basically no margin. They will kill each other. It's just a horrible market to be in. That means Elon has accelerated the inevitable. I know we all always sound like Elon fanboys, but Elon is just a smart cookie. I can't change it. I can't make Elon dumb. He's smart. What am I supposed to do? Like say he's dumb? No, he's smart. And he saw it again. And he pulled it forward and said, I want all eyes and all hands on Robotaxi and on Optimus. And Robotaxi is now coming to fruition in June. And if this earnings call today, this company update that they call it for some reason, which they normally don't, if this thing, is what I think it is the starting point of the new age for Tesla. That doesn't mean the analysts will understand it, but I think today we will hear some very cool stuff. And we will hear that the theory and the vision of Robotaxi is now becoming a reality, and that we are absolutely on track of launching that thing probably in 7 weeks for real. And I want to go to facilitate and strengthen that point to the next little exhibition here. And that exhibition is, I can actually make it bigger maybe. This exhibition is from Joe, not me, the other Joe. Tegtmeier, sounds also very German. Joe has probably German ancestry. And Joe is the master of the drones. He is in Austin. He monitors and surveils the Gigafactory and sees all these very exciting things. So what did he see? And you guys have heard about it. You know all about it. This is very important. This happened very, very recently, yesterday. And what he suddenly saw was all these amazing gigacasts, right? Look at this stuff. And why is this relevant? Because if you have a sharp eye, do I have a sharp eye here? Can I zoom in? Well, you see a little, you can't really see it here, but when you look at the shape, it's very clear. This is not a Cybertruck, it's not a Model Y. And when you zoom in here, there is actually something that says Cybercab and Robotaxi on these things. So at this point, all the analysts agree that this is extremely likely to be, guess what? Cybercabs. I'm extremely happy about this. Why? Jeff Lutz commented on that and said, well, this is how you do it. This is how you start mass production. You go through all these iterations. Of course, Jeff is always right. But on top of that, this will produce cybercabs that will actually be deployed. And that is very, very exciting for all of us. Because I always said, my biggest fear at some point, a few months ago, was not anymore that we don't launch in June, because that was very confirmed. I got very confident when I talked to lots of, Model 3 and Model Y owners with hardware 4. Herbert told me on Sunday, Herbert Ong, that he is absolutely confident. Randy says he's super confident seeing version 13, that this is ready for prime time, especially because we have the next version very likely launching for this. So my concern was that there's some kind of lame launch with Model 3s and Ys. That would be horrible because they look not cool enough. We need a hard launch so the world understands this is not a car anymore. This is a cybercab. And here, I mean, the odds that they're actually producing hundreds of these things and launching dozens and dozens, if not hundreds, is high in June, July, August. And if that happens, the impact on the human mind, on the analyst mind, will be transformative. I said it in my video before, my last video. I introduced a new word, and this new word is roboporn. Why is roboporn so important? I hope no one gets offended here. I talk about financial and technical porn, not like the dirty stuff. Roboporn is important because it introduces the magic. There's this joke. How do you know the difference between an erotic movie or a romantic movie with a little bit spicy scenes and porn? And a movie expert will tell you it's actually not easy to put this into an academic framework. But here's the good news. You know it when you see it. You see a video and it's like, oops, this is not a romantic movie. This is something else. And here, when it comes to the robots and AGI, I tell you the same is true. We can talk all day long what cost per mile you have to achieve, how autonomous level 4, level 5, level 10 you have to achieve in order to convince analysts. Forget it. It's roboporn. You know it when you see it. And when you see it, it's going to be so mind-boggling that everyone is going to buy the stock and going to go berserk. Because if you're an analyst and you see roboporn and then you say, but I don't like it, it's only level 4, your clients will kick your butt and say, are you stupid? Give me the shares and shut up. So that is why it's very important to achieve that. And how do you achieve that? You need to deliver something where you know it when you see it, and that includes cybercab. Without cybercab, it doesn't work. So I'm extremely psyched that we have so many of these things flying around already. They're lying on the ground. Look at this. They're going to build these things, and then they're going to win. And it's going to look like winning. Winning is not enough. You need to look like winning while you're winning. I think we're on a very good track here. So what is also very important, Jeff Lutz, super smart. I'm working on getting Jeff on the channel, by the way. We are on it. I will probably be meeting the Cyber Bulls on, I think, Thursday. Let's see. And Jeff has very smart commentary. He's an absolute pro in manufacturing supply chain. And he says, well, that's part of the game. You manufacture all these things, right? These casts, and then you build the robotaxi, the cybercab, and then you learn all the little flaws, and then you tweak it. So, these are base cybercab models, but in every iteration, every 10 or 20, you do little tweaks, tweak again, while you're building the automated lines. And so when you actually launch it, it's perfect. Okay? Here's the big difference. The big difference is if you build a Model 3 YSX, this sounds like porn again, but that's Elon's fault. Model 3 YSX, then you have to do all these exercises and build your thousands of little prototypes and tweak it before you launch the thing, right? Because if you're a consumer, you guys, and you buy Model 3, you don't want some tweaky little thing. You want the final perfected product. But when it comes to cybercab, the situation is different because you're not selling the cybercab. Vertically integrated little cybercabs that make Tesla a lot of money. Why is this so important? Because it allows a more seamless scaling of this thing. You can deploy the prototypes commercially, and then you can deploy 100. You tweak them around. You can deploy 500. You tweak them around. You can deploy 1,000. You can deploy 5,000 before you go into full mass production. And once you're in full mass production, you still can tweak around all day long. It is a very different thing to have a vertically integrated robotaxi corporation like Tesla the whole manufacturing process looks different and more seamless because you do not have that step change hurdle for a consumer product. Why is this important? Because it means that de facto, the difference between mass production and non-mass production doesn't exist anymore, which means we can go into the full thing now in June. So I'm very excited. As you also know, like this whole regulatory hurdle thing, I don't buy it. There is no regulatory hurdle because you will start in Austin. Texas, Elon has under control. You can go to Houston. You can go to Dallas. This is a giant market. While you're doing that, you can go to Florida. You can go to Phoenix. You don't have to go to California and New York right in the beginning. You can have tens of millions of customers or TAM. So I'm not too concerned. And once this works, it's going to be huge. The question is, will it work now? I start to believe more and more yes. Okay. So that's the situation as it presents it to me. And for the earnings call, I think never before in the history of Tesla did we have an earnings call and company update that was so important as this one. Because no matter what, this will be the game changer. I don't know if the analysts are going to like it, but this is the earnings call where Elon officially transforms Tesla from a car company into an abundance company. I don't like the word, that sounds a little visionary and dumb, but into an AGI, embodied AI, autonomous transport, and autonomous labor company. It is going to happen tonight. I guarantee you that's a done deal. And from there, it's the leap of faith, which is scary if you have too many shares. But the leap of faith means, well, basically, I'm pulling the rug. There are no cars anymore. Of course, we still have Model Ys and produce them, and we have some affordable stripped-down versions. But forget about it. The wall is coming anyway, and in 2028, we jump, and hopefully we can fly or drive. So basically, I view it as this is the big leap, and the leap is like you're on a cliff and you jump. Not the best image for a stockholder, but that's just what it is. And we have built the plane of the Robotaxi, and I think we're going to fly. Many people think you are not going to fly and you're going to drop and fall to your death, which would be very sad for my portfolio and yours. But there is a lot of reasons to believe that we will fly, and when we fly straight to the moon. So that's kind of the situation. We jump off the cliff now. I believe we fly to the moon. The bears think we drop into the ocean and drown to death. This will be the exciting question here. What happens? And I think, the next 8 weeks will be incredibly exciting because this is like the cognitive disconnect that some people think all your Tesla fanboys, you're delusional. This is never going to happen. Whereas the other side says, dude, it already has happened. Version 13 is already here. It's just cybercaps. Now the cybercaps are lying around there. Like, what do you even want? It's done. So it's very fascinating to me to see these cognitive disconnects also in X, and all the comments in my videos. Very confusing. You really have these two camps. I'm in one of the camps, and I think we are right. So that is the situation. What does it mean for the stock price? You know what? I don't even care. I think this earnings call, I don't even care. You should not be, this is not investment advice, but you should not be in a situation where you rely on Tesla's share price to be at any specific point in the next 6 months. Very bad. If you have stocks, you have no problem. If you have call options or puts or something, don't put yourself in a position where you only have 6 months or even 12 months. I think leaps are fine, but you don't know what the tariffs are going to do. You don't know what the market is going to do, and you do not know what hiccups we face. All I know is that I put a 90% chance on the probability that Robotaxi at scale is going to work by mid of next year. Between June 2025 and June 2026, the odds that this works at scale are insanely high. So that's how I position myself, which means all in stock, some leaps with expiration after June 2026, if you want to put some risk and leverage on, and then strong nerves, know when you double down. Okay. And then the smarty pants that say, oh, I'm going to wait until the stock is at 190. It's like, well, guess what? A little sentiment shift in the market. Elon says one thing right. We are at 300 tomorrow, and you will never see 190. So Of course, something dumb happens, we are at 150. But to put your investment strategy into on a condition that this hits 190 is not very smart, in my opinion. Okay. So let's go through some comments before we do the second part of this Pioneer Radio first session and episode here, which will talk about tariffs and JD Vance, because this is also very important for our Tesla outlook. And we always do a full AGI, age of AGI overview, which right now is all these companies and the tariffs and if the market goes down. But let's go through comments here. What do we have? So you guys are saying, will you be making these streams exclusive on your Pioneerlands platform or X community? So I'm starting. This is an excellent question by Flame Guy. Wow, flames, fire. I will work this week on using Restream to have it live on X and YouTube in parallel. And Pioneerlands, we have to see if we can get the stream embedded there. But Pioneerlands will have, especially the Pioneer Academy, which is on Pioneerlands for the citizens. There you will see these insights in a much more structured way, right? Where we have kind of courses and lessons on Tesla, on capital, on stock analysis, on AGI technologies, but also other areas, right? Politics and stuff like that, where you get a more systematic insight. Should have bought shares yesterday at 223. Well, maybe you get another opportunity tomorrow if this drops hard. Who knows? I loaded up on some leaps yesterday because I thought this is crazy again. Same, I regret not buying. Well, you know, when you look back and this thing is at 11,000 and you think, oh, you know, I wanted to buy it at 223, but then it was at 236 or wherever it is right now. Don't think like that. See the long term. Elon would love that term, roboporn. Yeah, probably. You guys are planning to buy today? Well, I don't know. CC Dreamer agree. FSD is the only factor needed to focus on. Optimus is too far away. Other stuff's just trivial. Exactly. And I thought more about it. If you lead a very large company like Tesla, as a leader, you have to set objectives. For me, one of the saddest tales ever is NASA. They had so many smart people, they got nothing done because they had all these little projects. It's like Google or something. Well, I want to compare NASA to Google, but NASA had like a lot of projects, or Boston Dynamics had all these little robots flying around. You need to make up your mind what you are all about. And if you develop a cheap, affordable model, a van, this and that, the Roadster, this and that, like you can't focus anymore. So I think I think Elon takes a step back, sees history, the long arc of human progress, says this is all noise. What is not noise is Optimus. This is the historic transformative moment. And for Optimus, I need a bootloader that makes me a few trillion in margin quickly. And that is Robotaxi. What do I care about all that crap, the rest that just gets commoditized? And I need all my people to focus on these things. So I think it's very smart. It's actually a leadership lesson, an abstract one. So are those robotaxis? I think these are robotaxis. Exactly. That is the point, Joshua Haltz. Oh, it's here. Let me see. Here I have to click. I mean, they're beautiful. Look at this. I find this so beautiful. Just went up pretty crazy today. Well, it's been down pretty crazy yesterday. So what my percentage bet on Tesla is, probably 95%. I have some Robinhood, well, in my stock, portfolio. There's some others, but when it comes to stock, 95% Tesla, maybe 90. Well, for sure, I'm a little bit in margin right now because I bought too many leaps. I bought leaps on margin. Don't tell anyone. This is a secret. Don't do it. Hit the like button. Exactly. Hit the like button and go to pioneerlands.net. Very important. That's where the action is. That's where we build the world's greatest pioneer community. People who are getting it, who love this whole topic, who understand that the future will be a little too exciting and that we must be very smart aggregating our capital, predicting the future, influencing it, building it, learning all these things and building a new civilization where we actually align all these things that we have in our lives to becoming effective in doing the right thing in the age of AGI. So pioneerlands.net. The bigger the payback, the more faith required. That's unfortunately true. I wish it would be easier. YouTuber Ricky Gutierrez is waiting to 200 to jump in. Well, let's see. Let's see if he gets there. Anything under 300 is great. That is true. I would even say under 400, but since we are down here, it's definitely great. Wow, we have so many comments. Is earning going to be trash or not? Well, that's my comment. That's my commentary here. I don't even care. I am I'm zeroing in. I'm laser focused on this one question. What do we hear about Robotaxi and Optimus? What about timelines? What are the bits of information we get here? Why no Palantir? Well, I have my little list. If you go to the Pioneer Academy, I'm describing some of the core shares that will capture the upside of AGI. I think NVDA is an absolutely safe bet. But when I look at risk and return, Tesla is the best risk return, in my opinion. Tesla has by far the largest TAMs. Palantir, for example, is a little opaque to me. I think they're well positioned. Their TAM is big, but it's not as visceral and clear as Tesla. Palantir is probably a good thing. I'm mostly, the second best company, in my opinion, is actually Robinhood. I think they're going to kill it. And this whole capital situation will be very important. You know my philosophy that as an economist, I'm telling you guys this magic economic formula that all value equals capital multiplied with labor multiplied with technology, the equivalent of productivity. That's the economics formula. That thing will change. Everything will become capital multiplied with reality engineering skill, because you need to now deploy capital like Elon does in effective ways to transform the world and engineer entire realities, not just products. Engineer realities. Steve Jobs was the first one who really did that. He engineered not the iPhone, but the entire reality, which means, all the stuff that surrounds it so you understand what this new world is. Elon does it best, but everyone has to do it very soon. And capital will become so important that the central tools that allow investing, smooth investing like Robinhood, will just win. That's why I like Robinhood, but not as much as Tesla. So Palantir, there will be tons of big winners, and Palantir is very likely one of them. Anduril, I would totally buy, but that's private. You have to do secondaries. Do you think showing us the gig cast since the day before earnings is an Easter egg from Tesla, similar to how Elon said shares are underappreciated some years ago before the earnings call? I don't know. No, I don't think this is any kind of trick, because that's too serious to actually do this. This is like work and costs money and all kinds of stuff. So I think this is just part of it. Who knows? Okay, let's get into the second part. The second part of today's update is very quick. I will just talk a little bit about the tariffs. Why is this important? Because whatever happens tonight with Tesla, I don't think it's going to resolve anything. Tesla goes on. We will see June. We will see the Robotaxi launch. And macro, the markets, are just very important. If we see a war over Taiwan or something, or some tail risk, some black swan event, that's not going to be healthy for Tesla. We need a healthy environment. And so going here into JD Vance. JD Vance just visited India. And before he visited India, so we can look at some pictures here, little JD Vance kids, wife, and this dude, the prime minister, whatever he's called in India. Nice little Indian, whatever that is, flag plant. He's also not very young. He's getting very old. So JD Vance, I nearly said JD Vance killing it. We should not make these jokes, because you know what happened on Sunday. JD Vance visited the Pope, and the Pope is no more. That was very sad. Rest in peace, Pope. I was not a fan, but death goes beyond our judgments. So it's of course sad when someone dies. But JD Vance visited the Pope on Sunday, like hours before he died, and he visited also Italy before. You see it here in Rome. My favorite European politician is there. She was just visiting Trump. So JD Vance is now making the rounds after people come to Trump, to DC. Then Vance does this little tour. I don't know if he's also going to go to Japan. And you see it's a charm offensive, and it's also about showing that the tariff negotiations are ongoing. And we also have had this comment by Trump that, there will be definitely a deal with the European Union. So here's the big picture. And here Gildner says, India and the US are on track to finalize a trade deal. As you know, India is not just very big, it's also the central competitor of China. Very big country, bigger than China in terms of population. They can do many things, of course, not as good as the Chinese, but they have similar positionings in textiles and some other stuff, maybe semiconductors. And so Gil Gildner, I don't even know him, but he's probably very smart. He says, Vance confirmed that India and the US has agreed on terms for the negotiation on the bilateral deal. Here's the thing. We need big countries like the EU. I don't think anyone outside Italy in the EU is going to do a singular deal, especially not Germany, which is the main country. Germany is very adherent to the EU or identical with it. Von der Leyen, the head of EU, is from a German defense minister. So they are in bed with each other, and Germany's just going to do something through the EU. But we need an EU deal, we need a Japan deal, or we need an India deal, or a Canada deal, or a Mexico deal, or some of these deals combined. We need some big countries like this or big regions like that to do a deal. Once we have the first deal under control, I think Trump is going to announce it. I know Trump a little bit, right? So Trump is not going to wait until we have a bunch of deals. Once we have the first deal, he wants this ripple effect. And that will signal to the markets the first giant relief. We need to overcome two central hurdles for the market to be good again. And once we are good again and have tax reform, regulatory reform, you will see the greatest bull market in history. That is my prediction. We are only that far away from the greatest bull market in history. Right now, it's hard to see because we're all panicking because of that stuff. But think about it, what the greatest bull market in history in the age of AGI needs. Put the tariffs to bed, do tax reform, do regulatory reform. They're working very hard on tax reform. Regulatory is happening. Doge is happening. So we are only two strategic trade deal types away, the two hurdles in trade. The first one is row. The rest of world needs to fall in line or do some great deals. And the rest of world is basically Japan, South Korea, European Union, India, maybe, and then of course Canada and Mexico. That is the rest of world. And the rest of world is very connected. Once the first domino falls, the others fall very quickly because they don't want to be left behind isolated. You have also Asia, ASEAN, Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia, like their little crowd there in Indonesia. Once the first one does something, the whole thing is done very quickly. And this is probably going to happen this week or next week. I have it in my gut feeling. They will get to these deals. It's very important for Trump. So he's going to push for it. Someone is going to blink, and then we have it, and the others follow quickly. That's the first stage of resolving the tariff problem. The second stage, of course, is China. Now, China is a little tricky. What's going on with China is there is a war going on, a cold economic war. In case you guys didn't notice, which I doubt everyone noticed, there's an economic cold war going on between America and China now. It's getting very serious. China says very weird stuff now. First, they said they are willing to fight to the end. I commented on that before. That means China is weak. Only someone who's weak says they're willing to fight to the end, because it sounds very existential. If you're very strong, you're not in a recession, you're not in a depression, you have a strong economy, you're not going to say these things. You're going to say, oh, little United States, what do you want? Whatever, we don't care. Do whatever you want. We just slap penalties on you, reciprocal tariffs. But if you say, oh my God, I'm going to fight to the end, I will drown in blood before I give up. That's not what someone says who's chill. So first warning, that China is actually weak. And the second warning is that now they are threatening the rest of the world. Whoever colludes with the United States will be cut off from China. Again, desperation talk. So there is some indication that China is actually weaker than they look like. Who said this? India strikes China in trade war. And then, of course, India is the worst nightmare of China and vice versa. They don't like each other. So, that's going on. So I think China is very difficult to deal with right now. But also China is weak and cannot sustain this trade war for long. And once the rest of the world falls more and more in line and does good deals with the United States, the pressure on China is just growing. So I think China is not going to be resolved very quickly, but it is a big world. And the more people then do deals with the United States, the bigger the coalition, the implicit anti-China coalition gets, and the more China will be cornered, while the economy in China is also deteriorating very rapidly. So China will have no choice, but China wants to, get it the hard way. And the hard way is rest of world aligned to United States. First domino will fall this week or next week, and then everything falls in line. Tying it back to Tesla, June is Robotaxi. Will it all be resolved by June? I don't know, but probably the world will be in line outside China, and China will start to be very cornered and also signal more willingness to negotiate. If that all happens, then we are well positioned for June for a little run-up. Okay, what else do we have here? Robotaxi June. Yeah, that was my conclusion here. So, maybe I'm delusional, maybe, but I think that is how the situation presents itself to me. As you can tell, I'm bullish. I am bullish on the market, and I'm bullish on Tesla. It's fun to be bullish on both because we live in a time of great confusion, chaos, and FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt on both dimensions. There are literally people who say the S&P is going to fall another 20%. We are in a recession. All these bad things. I think they underestimate how much of this problem is homemade through the tariff war, how much the Trump team has that under control. The Trump team is not that dumb. If you think the Trump team is dumb, you probably also think Elon is a Nazi. Both are not true. And as investors, it's very important to be right. It's very important to be right and not delusional. So try to connect the dots. My bet is Trump team is not dumb. They get it under control. The little JD Vance tour looks good. He looks happy. He looks friendly. Look, they're kissing each other. It's beautiful. Flowers and rainbows in Italy. And then here, he's hugging the little kids, the old white man. Ironic, the old white man. He's not that white, but his dress is white. And they're all nice. India is a powerful nation. And everything is maybe better than we think. And on Tesla, so there you have it. Here, give you the little end screen. Oh yeah, here, go to the Pioneer Academy, go to pioneerlands.net. You will meet many smart people, by the way. Great discussions. It's free, by the way. Pioneer Academy costs you $9 a month right now to become a citizen. You get free access to the Academy, but you can also for free just be a member and talk to everyone and see all the cool posts and ask questions and come up with cool theories about Tesla and AGI and picks. So do that. And that's the situation. So let's go through your questions here. I will drown in blood before I give up. Exactly. That's what the Chinese say. So I would say Robotaxi will be the first profitable real world application rather than the only. You mean of Tesla or in general? Yeah, both. Also, AI progress, by the way, is very different from everything else we have seen, internet and so on, because it's profitable so quickly. Think about ChatGPT was launching and Amazon, oh, now we have all these crazy investments, but when will it make money? At the second where they ask the question, well, when will we see return on investment here? They already made more money than they spent, OpenAI. AI is amazing. This is the most amazing super accelerant we've ever seen. Well, you know my theory. It's only amazing in terms of technical awe we have. It's going to mass eliminate humans very soon and then tries to kill us all. That's a different story. That's only happening in 15 years. So for now, we can chill out. We shouldn't chill out. We should go to pioneerlands.net and make sure this doesn't happen, because I have some concerns. That's for another video. That's a lot of fun. There's a new channel on YouTube, by the way, that just discusses doom. I love this guy. He's like a doomer. He says we are doomed, and he interviews all the people who say we are totally doomed. And this is going to be an interesting discussion. It is well enough that people of the nation do not understand our banking and monetary system, for if they did, I believe there would be a revolution before tomorrow morning. Henry Ford. Well, they start to understand it, but there might be a revolution. So a robotaxi is an autonomous car that charges for rides. That is correct. I couldn't have put it more nicely. Bearish on China, bullish on India. Well, sure. I'm especially bullish on the United States. Tesla will shock the world tonight with taxi network. Well, no, it will just shock the fanboys like me. The others will ignore it. I think Tesla will shock the world in June. Worst quarter is the most ignorant statement. Why is that, Joshua Hulse? Worst quarter? I think it's a pretty bad quarter. This is why Legacy Auto is dead now, because they only cared about short-term looks. That's true. I mean, of course, I don't think it's objectively a bad quarter, because we made this amazing progress on Cortex and all kinds of stuff. By the way, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the really important questions with Tesla earnings. What about Cortex? I don't know. Do we still have 50,000 H100s, or are we better now? Do we have more installed? What's happening there? Very important. Bhakti for cabinet. Oh, for Trump cabinet, I would chip in if they want to listen to me. I think this is the coolest cabinet I've seen in a long time, and I like the cabinet meetings of Trump. He's a live streamer. It's amazing. ChatGPT says if Tesla takes 50% of US taxi market, it could lead to 5 billion annual net profit. So I don't think Robotaxi will 10x the stock, but give a great push. Also 50% is a very big maybe. Well, Michael, I think here's the thing. You probably have seen all these calculations of the car market and what happens, how much your TAM expands for a car maker if you introduce a product under 30,000 bucks. This discussion was around the Model Q, Model Y versus Model Q, and how much more you tenfold your market if you basically decrease your price by 20% into this critical 25,000 area. The same is true everywhere. Who the hell uses a taxi? I don't even use a taxi. I hate it. Like I was, in Iceland the other day, and it's like, oh, airport to Reykjavik is $150. Well, it's Iceland, it's a little nuts, everything. But I mean, I love Iceland, but Iceland prices are a little out there. So it's $150. Like I'm not going to pay $100. I took the bus. I'm stingy. So it was a beautiful bus, by the way. Bus was much cheaper. So taxis are insanely expensive. And what does it mean if you're expensive? You drive down utilization. So the taxi market is like this size. But if you bring down the price per mile from whatever it is in a taxi from like $3 or $4 effectively to $1, you don't double the market, you probably 100-fold your market. I'm not kidding. You 100-fold your market. And if you make 500 billion in profit, then it drives the stock up. Do the math on 500 billion. So think about what it means to have an under $1 per mile cost. You will drop your car. You don't need a car anymore. You just have robotaxis everywhere. Taxis, of course, you don't need taxis. You don't need Ubers. You don't need buses. You don't need public transportation. You just have millions or tens of millions of robotaxis roaming around. You have a little app. You click on it. You drive wherever you want, and you pay $4 or $5 every time you drive anywhere. So once that happens, the transformation in human behavior and utilization of transport will completely transform. That's what we have to bet on, and that's why it's so important. When you look at stocks like this, what does it do? It's same with Optimus and human labor. It's not just Optimus replacing humans. Imagine you get humans at 1/10 of the price of a human that works also twice as long. You will hire not 10 people, you will hire 100 people for the price of 10 people. But they will produce the value of 200 people. So in Robotaxi, similar things. So I voted for RFK Jr. Well, I'm also an RFK Jr. fan. I think that was very urgently necessary to change that health regime. Robotaxi normies will be like, okay, cool stuff. They just accept these changes. Yes, Flame Guy, you're on fire. Exactly. The normies, most people are normies, and normies, they don't even know anything. They don't watch this channel, and they would know much more. They're just roaming around. Think, oh, I need to shop for salad. And then they say, well, how do I do this? And then they see on the app, oh, there is a new app. Oh, it's so cheap. And then they use it. And that's it. That's exactly how it goes. Economics is the magic driving force for everything. You always look at the numbers. Every human is an economist. They just don't know it. Every human is an intuitive economist. They want the cheapest stuff, and they want it faster, and they want it better. Tesla executives presented an internal study to Elon Musk concluding that the robotaxi plan, specifically the Cybercab, would lose money for years, possibly forever. What's your thought about it? Well, Roger, I think they were wrong. And, that's the magic of it, that predicting the future correctly is not the easiest task. Same with AI. And often the people who are experts, they're not experts on predicting the future. Just because you're a great car engineer doesn't mean you have any clue about what I just said, for example, behavioral change in people. Who made this joke? Herbert. Brighter with Herbert Ong. He made the best joke. He said, if you say to a health executive or a health stock analyst, I invented the fountain of youth. It's a little vial. It costs you $100 per day, let's say, so it's expensive. And you swallow the vial, like you break it and you drink the pink, blinking stuff in there. You will age in reverse. Your skin becomes like a 21-year-old, even if you're 80, and you're young again. What are the Wall Streeters going to say? They're going to say, okay, let me do your TAM. How many people currently buy resveratrol? It's $1 billion a year. Okay, that's very bad. Your fountain of youth will only make $1 billion a year. And then you say, wait a moment. Are you telling me if I invent the fountain of youth for $100 a day, that you only think we can sell $1 billion worth of it? Yes, that is what my Excel sheet says. This is the TAM. Same what we just discussed with taxis, the taxi TAM. But that's not how the humans work. If I go out there and I'm 80, I drink the vial and I'm 21, believe me, the TAM is bigger than resveratrol. So that is very important, but the analysts have no way of assessing that. That's not their language. They cannot predict it. They will be completely wrong. That's exactly so. CV Wonder. That's exactly where I see a little problem on the horizon when car ownership won't be a thing anymore. Who's going to buy a Tesla anymore? Well, that's exactly the point, CV Wonder. We don't want people to buy Teslas anymore. Because if you stop buying Teslas, you also stop buying any other car and instead use robotaxis. That is the age-old tale of innovation. If you don't disrupt yourself, someone else is going to disrupt you. Ask Kodak. So that's the genius of Elon, that he understands that he's going to disrupt and make sure no one will ever buy a Tesla again in 2030. And that's a smart thing. Flame Guy, Joshua Hulse. A taxi driver cannot do what's needed because what's needed requires high skill. Not all, of course, but some people just don't have the capacity. They will lose in this, unfortunately. That is very true. Predicting the future, especially for a technology that has never existed before, is even harder. Exactly, Joshua. But we can do it. That's what we learn at Pioneerlands. That's why I need you guys, so we stay all sharp and train our skills. Predicting the future on stuff that never happened before requires first principles that we apply quantitatively and accurately. HG videos. I live in Europe. If public transportation is eliminated, as you say, then how would transportation function with everyone using a two-person robotaxi? There would be massive gridlock. No. That's the beauty of it. Because if you have autonomous cars, all the gridlock goes away. They did studies on that. once the cars talk to each other, which robotaxis could if they have a critical mass, all the traffic jams go away. Because one of the main reasons for the traffic jams is that humans are isolated, right? You just sit in your car, you see the other car, you drive too fast, you have to brake. This creates the jam. If all the robotaxis anticipate where all other robotaxis are, all the traffic jams go away. You can read it up there, studies on it. It all goes away the moment we have networked traffic participants. It's gone 3 a.m. Wednesday here in Melbourne, but I have to listen to your call. Thanks. Roger Bradford, that's good. These are loyal viewers staying up at 3 a.m. on Wednesday, but you have to wait for the earnings call also. When do you think we'll hear people say, my Tesla is here instead of my taxi is here? I think in Austin, this is going to happen this year. In Austin, Texas. It's huge if people don't have to buy cars. Cars are super expensive. Average is like 50K, and most people have to get into debt to get one. Exactly. Corporate shill. Corporate shill is right. I knew the corporate shills. They have it in them. This is absolutely true. I mean, cars are just idiotic. I never liked cars. I was like, what is all this waste? And you already have lease, many people lease their cars, so they already compute on a monthly level. Oh, I'm spending $1,000 a month, including gas, maybe in average. That's a lot of money. $1,000 a month. Like, think about it. If you have $1,000 a month, that's roughly what? Every single day, that's like, $33. And if you have under $1 per mile cost, then you can drive every single day for 33 miles, 35 miles. That's actually a lot. So that is why this is such a transformative thing, right? So once ordering robotaxis all day long is cheaper than owning a car, or the same price, and you don't have to do this anymore, it's very magical. So, and again, one of the biggest magic tricks of people like Elon, and also how I do my predictions, and I'm mostly right, I tell you the magic trick. You have to understand that money is the magic explanatory key lever of the entire world of all human behavior. Everything is about money. I had my baby video on it. Men and women and dating and babies and families. Even that is about money, even though people don't want to believe it. But you can translate all of these problems into dollars per something. And once you understand that, you can start thinking like what Elon did with SpaceX and self-reusable rockets. It's all about dollars, for per, ton cost per ton to orbit in total. What's the effective cost? Same for transportation. What is the effective cost? And then you can compare it. And then you understand where these true inflection points are. And once you pay for your robotaxi less than for your full car ownership, people will switch, even if they don't understand it, by the way. You don't need to be a smart frontal cortex economist. You can be a gut economist like everyone. Multiple minds, Flame Guy, on Pioneer Lands or elsewhere will make predictions much easier. Exactly. It's like who wants to be a millionaire or something? When you ask the audience is always right. There's a magic to it, especially in Pioneer Lands where everyone is smart. Also, public transit is centralized. Robotaxis are decentralized. Exactly. Joshua says, don't forget maintenance, insurance, gas, or energy. I hate it. Yeah, it's horrible. I hate the car thing. My insurance is 150. Mine was 250. And I'm a good driver. It was just in California. They're nuts. Would they make driving cars illegal with robotaxis revolution? How would that work when Tesla will basically own the roads? I don't know. We will see. I think at some point, I don't know how easy it is to make it illegal, but self-driving, driving yourself wouldn't make any sense. I saw your video about reality engineering. Would that include also virtual reality engineering? I think the future, every human will be essentially creating a virtual world. Not sure how to value that, Roger asks. Well, sure, virtual world engineering is easier than real world engineering, but I'm talking mostly about actual reality engineering. I think most people have forgotten that we can do the obvious. We can just be pioneers, go out into the world and re-engineer the entire freaking universe. And the more real you make it, the more value is in it. I think the recent Silicon Valley trends were that people just forgot that you can do the real deal. And then Elon reminded us you can actually do all these crazy things. And now the AI revolution is about building real things, nuclear power plants, huge new server farms. It's kind of an industrial thing. So I think we should engineer new cities, new communities, how we live, how we work, all these things. I mean, why not? We can do all these things now. And if you do it right, the value is infinite doing that. I don't understand why no one is doing this. Yeah, most normies will live in VR and build fantasies, but we have to make sure the real world is good and not distract ourselves, says Flame Guy. Yeah, when my video that most people will perish in the age of AGI, I don't mean that they will literally be murdered or die, but they will end up like what Flame Guy describes here. They will put the little, what is it, Oculus? Zuck will give them an Oculus, and then some gaming company give them a game, and they're gone. And then what is it like? I never order food in. What are all these stupid food order companies? They will just plug into it. You can order it in the game. There will be a little robot that feeds you, so you don't have to don't have to get out of your Oculus. And they're gone because they can't handle reality. So we don't want to be that. Other stocks besides Tesla you're holding or watching? Well, I hold some Robinhood. I think it's hot. Crypto, always a good idea. Bitcoin and Ethereum, like the big ones, because that's an obvious play. I don't confuse that with stocks because it should be separate. And generally, CC Dreamer, my take on it is we live in the age of AGI. AGI is going to change or is changing everything, and you need to be invested in the primary AGI revolution stocks, which is, of course, Tesla. It is Palantir, it is NVIDIA, it's Microsoft. But they have different levels of risk and return. I think Tesla is just nailing the central components of it. I think NVIDIA is also completely underrated because people don't understand that this is not going to end, this insane build out. Palantir, as I said, I don't understand Palantir enough. I don't have a good grasp of what they exactly do. I have my theories, what I would do, enterprise AI, but it's very opaque. So it's very hard for me to tell. I think David Karp is very smart. So Palantir is probably a good bet. I like Robinhood as a meta bet because Robinhood sits on the capital side of things, and Robinhood is a totally new way of looking at investing and making it compatible with Zennials. And I think that's where the future is, to actually become your central capital management tool. And so I'm very bullish on Robinhood. Okay, guys, that's it. We were nearly an hour here. Robinhood is related to AGI. Okay, I wrap it up with this. AGI leads to the most foundational transformation of human economics that ever happened. It changes the formula from value equals capital times labor times technology into only capital, because labor and technology turn into capital. If you have capital, you combine it with a new variable, reality engineering skill. All you need today is capital and the central reality engineering skill of envisioning a future you want, starting to build it, learn, repeat, and persist, like Elon, for example. So that skill combined with capital replaces all labor, and it replaces all technology, because labor and technology can now just be produced at will. What that means is that capital becomes even more important than it was now. And capital includes, of course, investing, and Robinhood sits at the center of this. So the ability to aggregate capital from people and help people to invest in more seamless ways is an absolute centerpiece of the age of AGI. When you talk about capital and building that with stocks like Tesla and NVIDIA, what role would natural resources play in this new economy? Is it just going to be the same as we have now? Well, of course, if you are in hyperdrive, which you will be, commodities, natural resources become extremely valuable and important, including in space. So, this whole, like, commodities will definitely be a highly contested, like, look at the Ukraine, Russia, China warfare, United States, rare earths are extremely important. So energy and commodities will definitely go up a lot. When can we expect NVIDIA moment for Tesla? Well, first of all, I think you don't need the NVIDIA effect for Tesla to have the effect of NVIDIA stock on Tesla, because the market anticipates this more for Tesla than they did for NVIDIA. So NVIDIA needed to really deliver hardcore. I think Tesla will already go exponentially up to the moon roughly a year before they deliver hardcore, when all the metrics are in that they will deliver hardcore. That I think that happens latest in 2026, because you will see commercial deals with Optimus that is already super hyped, and you will see really margins rolling in for Robotaxi. Not on the giant scale like NVIDIA, but it will then be clear, okay, there is no way around this will scale rapidly. Thanks, Joe. Please don't forget to hit like. It's all I'm able to do. Spread the help. Exactly. Just me. It wasn't me, by the way. Just me is not me. It's someone else. But I totally agree. What do you think of the play of Elon in space, investing, leaving Earth? Do you see economy in space? What's your time frame? Well, this is not happening anytime soon, like real space mining. I think there will be a big space industry with satellites and intelligence. So space is really a very strategic bet. I think that's more like 20-year time scale before we see real returns. But of course, space has infinite returns, right? So once you're in space, you're talking about pentillions and pentillions of dollars you will make very rapidly once you enter space mining and the moon and stuff like that. So it's long out. I think we are talking about autonomous. We are talking about enterprise AI. I'm working on some secret little project startup too. Enterprise AI will be the first giant thing. Autonomous vehicles will be in parallel a big thing. Then robots, then crazy stuff, ASI, and then space. That's how I see it. But space is such an enormous, ridiculous thing that I think the chain of returns and milestones will be very well understood and invested in. So you don't need to wait until you make the first 10 trillion or something. People will anticipate that. What is your IP doom? Oh, I'm not going to say that. P doom is a whole complicated situation. I have a very unexpected answer there, but I'm not going to give it away right now. Depressed Goyim. That sounds so sad, depressed Goyim. But